The sports hit list, ladies and gentlemen, by the fans and for the fans. Carl Coulange alongside the Tingue family for a very special Zoom edition about The Last Dance. Let me introduce the panel. Al, Big Al, what's going on?
What up? What's going on?
How you doing? We have Derwin in the house. Derwin, how you doing, man?
So.
And we have Big Mo. Is that what you go by? Is that your nickname?
I'm cool with that. You can go with that. I'm good.
All right. Thank you guys for joining me here on the special Zoom edition. But let me start off with Al because he kind of helped me produce this. He said, Carl, we got to talk about The Last Dance because I've been having conversations with the family. We need to talk about it. Al, what were your first impressions after watching the 10-part series?
I was personally, man, it took me back memories. It just took me to how basketball really was supposed to be played. No ifs, ands, or buts. Mike is the greatest, hands down. What he had to go through in that era, just everything about basketball, it just took me back to a whole different level, man. I appreciate it.
Okay. Derwin, what are your thoughts on the documentary after watching all 10 parts?
Well, same thing. It was interesting. It was entertaining. Obviously, as a Knicks fan, I hated Michael Jordan, but you can see what he did and how he worked himself into that position. But I kind of wish, and we probably will talk about this, I kind of wish they gave more praise to Pippen. But we can talk about that later.
All right. Mo, what were your thoughts? Do you agree with the rest of the panel about the documentary?
Well, being the one of the older ones of this panel so far, I could strongly say that Jordan was a heartbreaker and a love maker. I don't even know. I mean, I remember buying season tickets to the New Jersey Nets just to get an opportunity to see him at least once play. So to me, I thought it was a great show. I can't wait to watch it again. That's how much I enjoyed it.
All right. Now, can we talk about now, Derwin, you talked about Pippen and you feel like Pippen should have got a little bit more love. There are rumors circulating around that Pippen wasn't very happy with how he was covered in the documentary, but a lot of it was truth. There was a time where Pippen quit on the team during a final play when Jordan retired. Pippen got shortchanged apparently with his contract. What more did you really want to see from, I guess, the Scottie Pippen perspective?
Well, I think Jordan should have backed him up a little bit more. I don't think it was right for Jordan to say, hey, he quit on the team. Yeah, I get it. He was having an injury situation, and he didn't like the fact that he was not put to make the last shot with that play with Kukoc. But it's right. He should have taken that last shot. He's worked so hard that whole season, and you're taking the last shot away from him. Why? That's a lot of hard work. And don't tell me it's about, it's a team thing. They were grooming Kukoc to be the next one and just completely forgetting about Pippen. And that's been Pippen's career. People always put him aside. This guy was like, look, I kept this team afloat. I deserved that shot, and they took it from me. So I feel like Pippen was always in the shadow of somebody. It could be anyone, but it always was somebody. And I think Jordan should have backed him up more, talked him up more. Yeah, he said a few things, but I really think he shouldn't have ridiculed him the way he did, talking about how he quit and he was selfish. I think that was wrong. Pippen gave up more than he needed to.
Well, you know what? One thing that's been heavily debated is Pippen a superstar? We all know Pippen did not win any rings without Mike. Mike didn't win any rings without Pippen. But like, how much value do we really give Pippen for playing second fiddle to Mike? Mo, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Pippen was like Robin to Michael Jordan's Batman. I mean, without one, you don't have the other and stuff. And as you saw when Michael Jordan went over to the Wizards, he didn't really, do as much as he did. Of course, he was a little older, but it's without question that when Pippen came on the scene, that's when Michael Jordan started to flourish and stuff. So
can I say something to that, Moses? When Jordan was on the Wizards, Jordan was still putting up crazy numbers.
He was.
Don't forget about that. Jordan was still putting up 25 here, 30s here, 20 there. He was still, it wasn't Jordan numbers, but in the league, that was sustainable. That was still a star number. So,
well, you know what? I'm going to play devil's advocate because I listen to all types of fans. And someone, when they listen to Jordan playing with the Wizards, they're going to say, well, he had to retire 2 times in order for himself to stay healthy enough to play at 37, 38, and 40. Al, is that fair criticism towards Jordan that he couldn't play? His longevity he had to take 2 years.
I don't think so. You know what? Coming from where he came from, yeah, mentally and physically, and seeing that, he was drained. He needed that. I don't think it's fair at all because
Al, I'm going to cut you off real quick. Just push your camera back a little bit so I can see the rest of your whole face. I'm sorry. There you go. Perfect. Go ahead.
I feel like that's not fair because mentally, what he did for the Bulls organization, it wasn't fair at all. Because he put Wizards back on the map. If you really look at it, it wasn't Jordan like Derwin said. It wasn't Jordan numbers, but it was still putting the fans in the seats. It was still legendary Michael. So yeah, I don't think it was fair at all. He's tired. He was mentally drained and physically drained, and I don't think it's fair at all. I don't think it's fair. Nah.
Before we hit the go ahead.
Pippen, I don't know if you guys remember, he took the Blazers. He was an integral part of Blazers going to the finals. The conference finals.
He did.
Win against the Lakers.
But
he just do.
But here's again. I'm going to play devil's advocate. They did blow a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter in 2000. We can't forgive them for that. Listen, facts are facts. You say they blew. They were supposed to win that game, and they blew that game. We were all pulling for them to win, and they completely blew that fourth quarter. So, Mo, in terms of before you got on, we were discussing this whole Isaiah Thomas narrative that he should have been on the Dream Team. We saw it being covered. Now there's a tape leaking that Michael said he didn't want him on the team. And since you said you were a little bit older than us, what's your perspective on watching the Bad Boy Pistons? Should Isaiah have been on that team? Were they right to leave him off? Where do you stand on that topic?
Well, I remember watching that game with how the Lambeer, Robin, there was some really, really hardcore punch you in the face, out kind of players. So I could understand Michael Jordan feeling the way he did. And then I didn't realize about that whole, shaking hands at the end of the game thing. I didn't know about that, or I didn't remember that because, I was a Knicks fan, so I was more focused on the Knicks back then and stuff like that. But I mean, I could believe that, because, Michael Jordan, as they showed it, he was a true competitor. And if he felt you gave him some shade, okay, we're going.
Okay.
And when you got somebody as strong as he is, personality-wise, and once he speaks, people listen. So, I could believe that.
Derwin, what are your thoughts on Isaiah? Did he get screwed? Should he still be upset 30 years later that he doesn't have a gold medal on his resume and how he's saying that in the media?
No, he needs to get over it. There's nothing that he needs to say that will justify what he did in Detroit. If you really look at it, all the competitors, Bird, Magic, after they lost, they would go to the opposing locker room and they shake hands and they say good game and they keep it moving. Jordan did the same thing to Karl Malone. Y'all saw it in the documentary. You went to Karl Malone did it to Jordan. They go to each other. They say, hey, good game. So these guys, they were doing what they were supposed to do as far as being polite and cordial with each other. And Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons, they wanted to do something totally different, and it was disrespectful. So what you give.
We gotta ask, what's the criteria to get on the Dream Team, though? That's one of the questions we gotta ask.
What do you mean? What's the criteria in terms of what?
Was Isaiah in that time? Was not one of the best point guards in the league?
Correct. Yes.
Listen, he deserved to be on the team. As far as talent, yes, he deserves to be. Christian Laettner didn't need to be on that team.
No.
Period. Okay, but that team, they needed to make sure everybody was working together. There was good communication.
Correct.
Everybody got along with each other. You can't have somebody who's toxic on the team.
Exactly.
It don't work.
Exactly. And the other part of sports I think that are underrated, chemistry is a big key. You're looking at a guy that was very disrespectful. There's a lot, like I have intel. I used to have a principal who her brother played UNC, Matt Doherty with Mike. And during those college years, she said, Isaiah Thomas would say the nastiest things to players just to get in their head. You don't know what Isaiah might have said to tick off Jordan.
Everybody does
Bird,
that.
everybody. But I believe Isaiah did it to the point where he was hated, which is why he wasn't on the team. So I think part of that is chemistry. Do you really want to have a guy on the team that you don't want there, and how is that going to work? And again, his own head coach was the head coach of the Dream Team, and he wasn't even vouching for him to be there. So how do we still argue it? So and my last question kind of moves on to this new narrative of LeBron James. And we know we had to talk about it. I know you guys may be tired of hearing about it, but because we are of the age of 2020, we have a lot of millennials who believe LeBron is the greatest of all time. Even after watching the documentary I have a lot of my students who love LeBron. They've seen it and they still believe he's still the GOAT. Where do you guys – is it hard for you guys to admit that LeBron is kind of close to Jordan? He's kind of touching him. Is that hard, Mo?
Okay. how can I put this? When I enjoyed basketball the way it was, when you saw like Charles Barkley was a Phoenix Sun. There was no question about that. Patrick Ewing was a New York Knick, no question about it. Reggie Miller, an Indiana Pacer. Michael Jordan was the Bulls. Who is LeBron James? Is he from Cleveland? Is he an LA Laker? Is he a? It's like he goes where the guaranteed championship. He's a journeyman, in other words, for lack of a better way of saying, if I could say it. And that's the reason why I will never look at LeBron the same way I look at Jordan.
So
Jordan,
for you, it's about loyalty. It's about
loyalty. And
okay.
Jordan, he said, "Look, I'm going to get this team a championship, and not only going to get him a championship, I'm going to get him multiple championships." And he's the only one who got them not only 6 championships, 3-peats, 2. LeBron.
Well, you know what? I will say this though. 2 things. Charles Barkley did play for Philly before he ended up getting traded to the Suns. So that's kind of not a little bit of loyalty there, you know.
But
so
that's fine. But
that got traded. That's a different story.
So we changed it out because they get traded. Okay. Your thoughts? Is loyalty a problem for you, or in understanding the new NBA, we're seeing guys team up because they want to be able to play with their friends. They want to be able to. Is that a problem in terms of the GOAT narrative? Because we could talk about Kareem. Kareem also went from the Bucks to the Lakers, if you want to talk about that. So does that really bother you in terms of assessing the GOAT mentality?
The Bulls had a super team.
Well,
the Bulls had a super team.
Well, I'm a little on the fence of it because if you really look at the history, there are players who push their way out of a current situation to go somewhere else. And, you know, Kareem did that. You know what I mean? Like certain players, they did things like that. Barkley did it. You know, right. Barkley did it to the team that drafted him. He didn't even want to go there. Y'all know the story. Y'all know the story about Barkley eating.
So where do you stand on the GOAT debate, though? Honestly,
on the GOAT debate, listen, personally, I really like LeBron. I think he's one of the smartest basketball players I've ever seen. On that note, though, he's not like Jordan where he looks for something to destroy you for. LeBron is a little too passive sometimes. You know, he doesn't want to take over the game, and that's not his style. So I can't put them in the same category. I have a category of greatest player and smartest player. And to me, LeBron is the smartest player, and Jordan is the greatest player.
You know what's that's the first. Assassin. That's the first time I've heard someone say it like that. I've never looked at it like that in terms of smartest and greatest. That's a great.
LeBron is the best all-around player compared to Mike. Mike is the best player, but LeBron is the best all-around player.
Okay. So could I say this? Could we actually, and I tried this with another panel, but let me see if I could work it with here. Could we put the GOAT debate to an end and just appreciate both players? Can we do that?
And that's why I say what I say.
Could we just put it? And where does Kobe fall in? Could we, and rest in peace to Kobe. Where does Kobe fall into that narrative of GOAT players? Because he is part of that whole Jordan discussion. And we know Kobe passed away in January. A documentary is coming for him. We know definitely there's going to be a documentary on him. When LeBron retires in like 4 years, I don't know when they'll do one on him. I'm sure there's going to be one to talk about him. So can we put him in that GOAT conversation too, or can we just appreciate everyone?
Absolutely put him in that conversation, without a doubt.
Al, go ahead. You were going to say something? Al's about to be a hater. He's about to be a hater.
I'll enjoy basketball.
So go ahead, Al. Are you going to be a hater? Are you going to be a hater?
You better say something.
Say it, because you feel like you're itching. I feel like you're itching to say something, but you don't want to say it.
I enjoyed Mike, right? In the era that Kobe played, I didn't really care for basketball. I thought basketball was weak. I thought it was soft. I was still getting over Mike. Now that I'm watching basketball again, I appreciate LeBron and his skills and what he has to offer the game. So between that era of Kobe, I'm gonna stay with Mike. I'm gonna stay with Mike and LeBron.
And I know the conversation is kind of gearing off the topic. So you're telling me from 1999 when Mike retired the second time to about 2004 when LeBron came in, you didn't really like the star talent of Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, Vince Carter, Jason Kidd. That was a pretty era where there wasn't one superstar. There was just a plethora of talent. You had Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, Paul Pierce, my guy. Shout out to him. But you mean to tell me during that era you weren't a fan of any player during that era that you liked? Is that what you're saying right now?
KG.
That's Tim Duncan. Hello.
You
The
had
big fundamental.
you had T-Mac. T-Mac is one of the best scorers I've ever seen. T-Mac is ridiculous.
Down, best KG and Duncan. I can appreciate those kind of wars. The big fundamental and the the atrociousness of Kevin Garnett was serious back then.
Okay. So my last question goes here. I got a bonus question. Now we see it in terms of we've seen NBA goes in eras. So the 60s were about Bill Russell and the Celtics and Wilt Chamberlain. The 70s, you could put Kareem in that category, George Gervin. The 80s was clearly Magic and Bird Show and transitioned into Jordan, which we saw in the documentary. And we've seen documentaries, and clearly it's going to be Kobe and LeBron. Who takes the helm from LeBron? Is that person in the league right now, or is that person still yet to come? Is it going to be his son, LeBron James Jr., or is it Zion Williamson? Who is going to take the helm in terms of the Jordan-esque helm?
Giannis and Zion.
I was going to say Giannis. Yeah, Giannis.
Zion.
Yeah. I don't know about Zion yet. He still has too much to prove.
I'm sorry. Y'all gonna laugh at me for what I'm about to say?
You're gonna say JB.
No, Luka.
That's a nice pick. I'm not. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he is.
Listen, guys, that is the smooth. If you really, really love basketball and follow basketball, that is the smoothest basketball player I've seen in a while.
See, this is where I'm going to be biased because I'm a Celtic fan, and I have to say my guy Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is in that conversation, and we've seen Jason Tatum play him before COVID hit. We saw what he was able to do, and he's been playing very special. That is a very special kid. He hasn't arrived yet, but he's coming. That's all I'm going to say. And I think Tatum could be in that conversation with Luka and the young guys coming into the league.
I think Giannis is really close.
Yeah, Giannis is close. He is, but
really
there
close.
are rumors about Giannis potentially playing with the Warriors, and there are rumors circulating that I'm telling you. I'm reading articles and I'm seeing that in order for that deal to happen, they have to move Klay Thompson. There's a lot of moving parts because they couldn't afford him by himself. But you put Giannis on the Warriors team with Stephen Curry and potentially Klay if they can keep him. That's another dangerous formation for the Warriors to have. You know, and another player we didn't mention who's been out is Kevin Durant too. You know, Kevin Durant still has a few years left if he does come back the way he
comes back the way he's supposed to.
Say it again.
I hope he comes back the way he's supposed to.
Of course you are, because you're rooting for the Nets. That's why you're saying that. Get out of here, man. Come on,
wait, are we talking about LeBron passing the torch to Durant? Because I personally feel like Durant's time actually passed.
Really? Okay. I mean, yeah, he is 32. He's turning 32, so his time is
time is gone.
And with the injury is
Yeah, Harden's time is gone. Like the window that these guys had, either they took it and they made it happen like Durant did, or it's gone for them like Harden. It's done. Westbrook, it's done. So I'm looking at guys like Luka. I believe what you said with Jason Tatum. He is on his way, but right now I think Luka's going to dominate this league.
All right. Gentlemen, I thank you for joining me here on the Sports Hit List podcast. Please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll have this video up in a few minutes. Please make sure to tell your friends to watch more of our content. Special shout out to the Tingue family. I know it was a really rough one the last few months. We've been going through a lot, but we know we have a lot of spirits with us up there watching over us, and hopefully we can get through this COVID-19 crisis. This too shall pass. You gentlemen, please stay safe and have a good evening, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye, homie.
All right.